Hey guys, welcome back to Critical African Thinkers. As you know, this is a place where we examine everything under the microscope of logic to ascertain what is most factual and logically consistent. So today I'm going to be covering the apparent feud between Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, two very massive people in the conservative movement, right? So recently, Tucker Carlson had a conversation with Candace Owens where they talked smack about Nick Fuentes. They were calling him a weird guy. They were calling him gay. Tucker Carlson essentially made the argument that Nick Fuentes he has an agenda to discredit real conservatives like J.D. Vance, Candace Owens, and even he himself. So they talked smack about this guy, and to an extent where they even allegedly said that he was a CIA. He was a CIA operative, right? And Nick Fuentes did not take kindly to that. He responded in a very fiery fashion as well. He responded very, very strongly to these attacks by Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. And he made some. The thing about this interaction that I'm going to show today, I'm going to I'm going to go through the conversation between Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens first. Then I'm going to go through the response of Nick Fuentes. The thing that is interesting about this is that they're essentially very, 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 very correct about each other. Their assessment of each other is spot on. So, yeah, so they repeat to each other this much, this way, and it's correct. Tucker Carlson's assessment of Nick Fuentes is, in my opinion, is spot on, and Nick Fuentes' assessment of Tucker Carlson, in my opinion, is also spot on. So let's just dive right into it. The thing about these right-wing conservatives at this point in time is that apart from attacking the left, they also have this, uh, they have this desire or this attitude of attacking themselves. They don't trust each other. They backstab each other. They talk smack and talk shit about each other. And you're just seeing this playing out in this interaction that I'm going to cover now. So let's get into it.
And I just want to say, I haven't watched a lot of Nick Fuentes in my life at all. But what I've seen, the guy's very talented. Like, just as a well, let me just say this, as someone who's talked to cameras his whole life, it is very hard to sit and just like riff for 20 minutes. And I think it's an amazing skill, and he has that skill. But I also have.
So this point that Tucker Carlson made is very, very correct and very, very spot on. I mean, whether you like Nick Fuentes or not, you have to admit that the guy is smart. He's very eloquent. He's very convincing, and he's very charismatic. Before I ever listened to him, there was always this idea out there that he's a neo-Nazi and so on and so forth. So I was expecting an uncouth kind of Alex Jones kind of person. And then when I listened to him, I was like, you know what? I don't really agree with what this kid is saying, but you have to admire his charisma. You have to admire his ability to be very, very convincing. He's very smooth. The way he presents himself, the way he says the things that he says. Dude is hella smart, and he's very, very convincing. So anyone who is less sophisticated, who tilts a little bit to the right, especially young men, they are going to be seduced by this figure. They are going to be seduced by this young man. They are going to think that what he's saying is correct. They're going to think that what he's saying is right because he's very convincing. There is no two doubt about that. So when Tucker Carlson says that this guy is talented, he has this raw natural talent of just talking to a camera for extended periods of time and saying something that is engaging that people would, yeah. So I don't agree with most of what he says. I think he's a white supremacist neo-Nazi. So, of course, that precludes me from agreeing with what he says. But I have to admit talent. And when I see it, I have to admit it that, yes, this guy is actually very, very talented.
Noticed that his targets are all people who are sincere, non-crazy, non-hateful opponents of neocon politics.
Right.
So you have to kind of wonder about that. So Nick Fuentes is like, oh, I don't like the neocons. But then his targets are J.D. Vance, Joe Kent. He got involved in Joe Kent's campaign with a super, oh yes. You, me. And it's like, What is that?
Dave Smith.
Dave
And I asked him about that because that's a question that I had. So I did the right thing by asking him to his face, what's up with this? Like, why do you attack Dave Smith? You say that like your biggest critique is that America's being controlled by Israel. Then you have Dave Smith, who has been such a sound voice. And by the way, opposite experience with Dave Smith. I have my podcast. He's a fantastic human being. Judge
Dave
people.
Smith is one of the nicest people.
Fantastic
ever.
human.
Yes.
And so I judge people according to my experiences with them. And so Nick is being judged according to my experience with him.
But like, what is this?
I don't get it. I don't understand.
So the thing about Nick Fuentes and his critique of these right-wing conservatives, in a way, I sort of agree with him. I agree with his assessment of them. I mean, there was a time where he talked about when he was ripping into Donald Trump, saying Donald Trump, when Donald Trump almost admitted in a way that he lost the election. And Nick Fuentes was like, well, then what was the point of all this? What was the point of the support that we've been giving you all this while? If you knew you lost the election, why didn't you just say it? Why have you led us astray? Why have you made us so angry where we're coming out, we're fighting for you as though the election was stolen? So he has the ability to critique his own side. He has the ability to, see beyond the nonsense that many of these conservatives are putting out there, and get to the meat of the issue, get to the pulse of the issue, right? So in this instance, when he's critiquing people like Dave Smith, people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, there might be something substantive to it. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are making it seem as though the conservative movement in itself, or the right-wing movement, is so monolithic that everything, they are aligned on every single point. No, maybe the what is critiquing you on is on a slightly different issue. So maybe you all agree on the fact that Israel controls the US government and all that. But there are other areas where there would be fundamental disagreements, and him stating that doesn't mean he has an agenda to undermine real conservatives or people who are against neocons. I find him to be much more honest in his racism or in his whatever than Tucker Carlson, than Candace Owens. Candace Owens literally is running cover for a sex trafficking pedophile in the person of Andrew Tate. Till today, she's still covering for him. She's still making excuses for him. So she doesn't have there is nothing that she can tell me about some other person, about the moral character of some other person. Or is it Tucker Carlson that always lies? You will see it in this interaction where he lied, not knowing that his father was CIA until his father died, which is not true. Tucker Carlson was the same person when he was at Fox News, where he showed he tried to paint the January 6th insurrection as tourists, as those people, those white MAGA people who went in there with the intention to kill Mike Pence. He tried to paint them as tourists. They were just having fun. They were just having a little tourism. This is the same guy who literally ran Russian propaganda. He went to Russia and he was just running propaganda for Russia, for Putin. This was the guy that had an interview with Putin, and he was just eating out of Putin's lap. So, yeah, I don't trust you. I don't trust you at all. So your critique of this young man,
come from. I probably shouldn't even say this, but the only reason I know who he is because someone sent me a video a few years ago of him attacking me, and he's attacking my dad as a CIA. His dad's in the CIA or whatever, and I'm like, well, that's untrue. And my father dies, and I learn actually, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
No one should believe you because that's a load of crap. Because in 2014, you are on record saying that there was a time where you wanted to, when you applied to join the CIA, and the CIA essentially told you that, oh, you're coming from a long line of CIA operatives. So you knew before your father died, you knew that he was involved with the CIA. But you're just lying. I should have brought up that clip to show you here. You're simply lying. You're lying. Why do you have to lie? And this is the thing about Tucker Carlson. I find him to be he's very sly. He's dishonest. With all his anti-Israel stance that he's taking right now, I don't think it's genuine. I really don't think it's genuine. Because if you even look at the reason why he's been against Israel at this point in time is because he thinks that Israel is attacking Christian Palestinians. He did not speak up when it seemed as though the Palestinians were all Muslims. He didn't speak up. What a despicable person to only care when people of your faith are involved. When the massacre was involving people that you that share the same faith with you. I mean, I'm a Christian, right? It bothered me that Palestinians, whether Muslim, Christian, or Jew, it bothered me that they were being slaughtered in that manner by Israel. But this guy waited, and in a way, I think he's reading the room, he's reading the cultural shifts. He's reading and he's saying that tide is beginning to turn against Israel. So he's flowing in that direction. Same thing I could say for Cadence Owens. These people are just riding the popular wave. They're riding the popular wave because they know this is where the tradition is going to. So they're going to change they're going to change their narrative, they're going to change their branding to seem to keep up with what's the in thing now. Who knows what happens tomorrow, and then they change to some other thing.
This was in March of this year. And I'm like, well, how the hell would this child from Chicago, my dad was 84 when he passed. Like, who does this guy know who my dad is? And like, he's in intelligence. Well, how would he know that? And
Wait, so that was his critique of you? Because I didn't see it.
Someone just sent me this video and was like, you can't believe anything Carlson says because his father was in the CIA and he's a CIA working on behalf of the CIA. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, and I actually feel emotional in my anger towards CIA. And I think that comes out on the air quite regularly.
Right. Like we almost said, like.
So are you still angry at the CIA, knowing that your father worked for them, that your father was part of the old CIA operation, and you're still angry at them?
We felt maybe he was a bit lonely. We should invite him back for dinner. I mean, that's how good of an experience I had.
It's clearly.
And then it was a 180. So it's either it's being driven from like a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think that
could be one element.
The angry gay kid thing going on. Yeah.
Or it's what you're saying where he does this.
Whoa. The angry what?
Angry gay kid
thing. It's
Okay, so a couple of things here. I don't know if you guys saw the interaction between Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes. I saw a few of it. I saw a few clips of that interaction. And there was a point where Candace Owens was essentially lecturing the young man about family, about, him to have getting married and so on and so forth. And he just cut in and like, don't lecture me. I mean, especially coming from a woman, you don't have the right to lecture me. Now, of course, this guy is a neo-Nazi. You don't expect him to not also be misogynist. And there was also a conversation about race and IQ that Nick Fuentes brought up, which really triggered Candace Owens, which is surprising to me. I mean, Candace Owens is rubbing shoulders with racist people. And she's surprised. She's surprised that Nick Fuentes had such an opinion about Black people. I mean, come on. Who have you been rubbing shoulders with? Who have you been surrounding yourself with? So, yeah, her talking smack about him right now might just be her being hurt. She might just be in her feelings about how the interaction went with Nick Fuentes. But Tucker Carlson now made an allegation that he thinks Nick Fuentes is gay. I think so too. I think so too. In that interaction with Candace Owens, Candace asked him about relationships and so on and so forth. And he said he wasn't in a relationship. And this young man gave a very sound argument for why he isn't in a relationship. Whether it's bullshit or not, it was very convincing. But, it's probably gay.
What you're saying, where he does this, he's lying to everybody and pretending that things are one way when it's not. I can say
why is he attacking Joe Kent, who, Joe Kent worked as a CIA contractor, paramilitary contractor. He's in the U.S. military for years fighting our neocon wars. And his wife was killed in Syria in one of those wars. Joe Kent is the single most sincere critic, and I would say the one with the most credibility in the United States to say this foreign policy is bad. It killed my wife. I was a part of it. Joe Kent is actually someone the CIA doesn't like at all because he understands how it operates. And for Nick Fuentes, who's like some child from Chicago, to go after him specifically, one congressional seat in Washington State.
That is random.
It's not random, though. It's the opposite of random. Joe Kent was number one on the list of people they wanted to knock off, people who believe in our neocon foreign policy. They wanted Joe Kent out because he could stand up and say, I actually know. I've got the receipts. My wife was killed in Syria. You had to take that guy out. And Nick Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement in Chicago, is participating in a super PAC to bump off Joe Kent. Like, I've been around this my whole life. I know what that is.
To being the CIA by.
So who wants to guess that Tucker Carlson or this so-called Joe Kent, he became anti-CIA when his wife was killed? What about all the other times where other people were killed, other innocent people were killed due to the actions of the CIA? Nothing, crickets. So do I trust such a person? I don't think I do. I mean, he's been incredibly selfish. He was part of an organization that was doing terrible things. But the moment it affected him personally, that's when he had an issue with them. And this just goes back to what I say about Tucker Carlson and his apparent anger at Israel right now. It's because churches in Gaza are being bombed. That's why he had a problem. That's why he has a problem with Israel. It's because all the wild mosques in Gaza were being bombed. Nothing, he did not say anything. So essentially, that's the first part of this interaction where Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, where they just talk smack about Nick Fuentes, calling him a weird little gay guy in his basement, a weird little gay kid in his basement. And it's correct. This guy is weird. Probably living in a basement somewhere, probably gay. Yeah, and of course, he's a kid. Yeah, but all those are personal attacks. And we're going to go into Nick Fuentes responding to Tucker Carlson. Just listen to this masterpiece of response from this neo-Nazi.
By Peter Thiel's Best Boys, by Tucker Carlson with his daddy. Tucker Carlson's, and you know what? Here's the other thing. Tucker Carlson said, I'm a weird gay kid in the basement. Yeah, and I'm from Chicago. You're right. I wasn't born with.
Okay, so now, what are you admitting to? Are you admitting to the gay part? Are you admitting to the weird part? Are you admitting to the Chicago part? Because we know that the Chicago part is true. The weird part, you admitted it to Candace Owens that it's true that you're weird and you're antisocial. The gay part, tell us about that.
With a silver spoon in my mouth, Tucker Carlson says, I have so many trust funds, I never have to work.
Which is true.
Tucker went to a $45,000 per year private high school, then a $45,000 per year selective Ivy League school in New England. Tucker Carlson's daddy was a Reagan appointee. And then, after years of bragging about being an elite, bragging about being so out of touch and so rich, now he's going to be the spokesperson for all the white people. Now he's going to roll up his sleeves. I just like to hunt and fish in my log cabin. I care about Klarna and credit card debt. But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people.
So he has a point. He's right and he's also wrong. I mean, he's right about Tucker Carlson being elitist, being born into wealth and privilege. He's also right about the fact that Tucker Carlson, based on that history, might not be able to relate with the struggles of people who are less fortunate or people who are less well off. But the idea that someone who is well off cannot be an ally of struggling people, of the everyday person, of the everyday man, I think it's bonkers. I think it's wrong. So it's like saying you can't say anything about this because you don't have the experience. You can, from the outside, see what's going on with a certain group, and you should be able to empathize with them. So someone that is rich, it's like the critic that they say about rich leftists, or that they don't care, they kind of show as though they care about homelessness and so many of those other issues, that they shouldn't say anything because they can't relate with that. Well, you don't have to be able to relate with that. personally to know that homelessness is bad, or that people starving is bad. So even if you've never starved in your life, you should be able to recognize that people starving is bad. And if you're advocating for people having good food, if you're advocating for people having healthcare, if you're advocating for things that are good for other people that you don't struggle with, it's possible. So that's where I disagree with Nick Fuentes here, that he cannot relate to the experiences of, disaffected white people like Nick Fuentes.
You want to talk about me and them? I am them. He says Nick Fuentes is leading all of the disaffected young white men. I am a disaffected young white man. I was a precocious, intelligent, young white college student who went to Boston University, who was pro-Trump and red-pilled by Trump and animated by Trump's message of America first. And I asked questions about Israel, and I was punished for it. I did it years before Tucker Carlson started talking about Israel last year. And I sacrificed, and I was targeted by the ADL, by the SPLC, by the federal government, by the conservative movement that both Candace and Tucker were a part of.
Yeah, so love him or hate him, you have to give him credit for being consistently being a shitty person. I mean, he's been consistent. Nick Fuentes has been consistent with his neo-Nazi shit for a very long time. So I think he's sincere. I think he's genuine in whatever the hell is going on with him. Tucker Carlson, not so much. Candace Owens, not so much. Those guys seem like frauds. They seem like people who are trying to take advantage of the culture of what is happening right now. This guy was doing this shit before it was popular. So yeah, he's right.
Candace and Tucker had nothing to say about Israel until it became unavoidable last year. Not popular, but unavoidable. And now they want to gatekeep me out and do this personality attack and say I'm a bitter loser in my basement from Chicago. I'm a kid from Chicago. And they slipped up there because they forgot for 1 second that they're pretending to be the spokesperson for exactly that kind of person. Tucker's mask slipped, and he forgot for a minute that for 8 years he's been pretending to care about the plight of weird kids in their parents' basement who are broke and didn't go to an Ivy League school, living in cities that don't matter like Chicago, not like Washington, D.C. or L.A. or New York. And that's why he had such disdain and contempt for me in that moment. Between the personality attacks, he's lonely, he's weird, he lives in a basement. I'm sorry, did you guys forget that that's your target audience that you're trying to pander to? Did you forget that for 2 seconds?
Yep. He has a point. I mean, part of Tucker Carlson's audience are the incels, people who fit the description that Nick Fuentes just gave. People who are weird, people who are lonely, people who are essentially living in their mother's basements. Those are the people that Tucker Carlson was claiming to be for. So him using that as an insult seems a bit weird. If those are the people that you are being championing for, and they have been part of your audience for a very long time, your loyal followers for a very long time, then using their condition as an insult, what's going on there?
And I'm the inauthentic person. I am that person. I am a spokesman for the disaffected white man because I am one, and you two are not. Candace Owens got married to British royalty worth $200 million after meeting him for 2 weeks on Zoom. What the fuck is even that about?
He's right.
And Tucker Carlson's dad ran the CIA's propaganda empire fighting the Soviet Union. He went and fought with the Contras when he was in college. When I was in college, I was doing a webcam show in my friend's dorm room criticizing Israel. So who's the CIA cutout? Who's the inauthentic one? Who's the crazy, hateful one?
So it's very interesting that they're both accusing each other of being part of the CIA. Tucker Carlson accused Nick Fuentes from the earlier clip that we showed of being part of the CIA because he had information that Tucker Carlson's dad was a part of the CIA when even Tucker Carlson himself did not know, which is BS because Tucker Carlson has admitted knowing that his father was in the CIA. So Why he needed to lie about it to Candace Owens is just, I have no idea, but it's consistent with his character. It's consistent with his person. He's not sincere. He's not authentic. He's lying. And now Nick Fuentes is saying Tucker Carlson is a part of the CIA. This is weird.
I would never describe a well-meaning young white person who's trying to get ahead as a weird kid in his basement from Chicago. And what is that supposed to mean? What is wrong with being from Chicago? What is wrong with being weird? What is wrong with living in your basement?
This guy embraces everything about himself. Yeah, he says, yeah, I'm weird. I'm from Chicago. I'm living in my basement. But he hasn't admitted to the gay part, which is most likely correct because it doesn't have any relationship. It doesn't have any relationships. Although he explained it he explained it to Candace Owens why he's not in a relationship in a way that makes sense. But this guy can sell anything, so it doesn't have to actually be true.
That's a lot of people because of the problems you claim to care about. Tucker's at Turning Point USA extolling the predatory nature of usury and how it's preventing young white men from getting homes. And then the week after says, you're in your mom's basement. So which is it? Do you care about Klarna and people going into debt to order pizzas and home ownership being impossible? Or do you think that's a contemptible, low status thing to be ridiculed and mocked? Who's pandering here? Exactly. Because that wasn't you. You were born to the Swanson family fortune and your daddy who ran the CIA. My dad didn't even graduate college. My dad worked for the tollway. His dad died of a drug overdose in the 70s. My mother's father was a garbage man in Chicago, and he committed suicide. He was a veteran of World War II. Who's the CIA cutout? Who's the poser? Who is America? I am America. Chicago is America. That's an American story. I didn't go to Yale Law School and suck Peter Thiel's dick and then get a sinecure at a venture capital firm advising Rebecca Mercer and writing Hillbilly Elegy and talking about it at the Aspen Institute. That's your biographical credibility? How many of these disaffected white people that love Trump because he's racist went to Yale Law School and got plucked out by Peter Thiel, whoever he even is? Peter Thiel with his fixation with the Antichrist, this homosexual who's involved with the CIA, who wants to live forever and govern the world with AI. Yeah, that's really relatable. That's really relatable. Do another show with him and Curtis Yarvin. Do another show. Do the 47th show with JD Vance.
So you can see that they're both trying to prove who is more authentic, who is more right-wing, who is more conservative. So they're just throwing shades at each other. And this is the thing with conservatives. This is the thing with right-wingers. Let me be very specific with right-wingers. About the only thing they have in common is hatred, would I say, of a group, of a thing or something. Their ideology is centered around othering something, hating something, being pissed at something. So at times it becomes themselves. It becomes each other. The competition becomes too much that they begin to hate each other, begin to hate one another. I mean, is there anything ever positive about what these guys say, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens? It's always rhetoric about something that will get you angry, something that will get your blood boiling, or someone is after you. It has to be America first. It's the immigrants, or it's the Chinese, or now it's the Israelis, it's Jews. It has to be someone. It's always an attack. They never spread love. They never spread friendship. They never spread camaraderie. They never spread collaboration. No, they never spread joy. They're always spreading misery. So no surprise there that this is happening.
It is insulting, and it is insulting to everybody's intelligence for Tucker to sit there and say he doesn't know his dad is in the CIA, for him to say that I'm in the CIA. What a joke. What a sick. easiest way.
I mean, what about the CIA really gets these guys upset? What about the CIA makes Nick Fuentes so mad? What about the CIA makes Tucker Carlson deny knowing that his father was a part of the CIA? Is it that bad?
To find out what's going on, go to the source. So I would say before we even begin the discussion to Tucker Carlson, to anyone that knows him, share this with him. He will never see it because he claims to not have a TV or email or anything. So who knows if he'll see this, but if you know him and if you see him, and if you'd be a friend, pass along this message, clip this and pass along this message. Tucker, I'm ready. You are a journalist. You have made an accusation. You have asked a question. Now, Tucker says he has not watched my show. He's never met me. We've never talked. And if there was any uncertainty before, I will dispel all ambiguity right now. I have never spoken to Tucker in my life. I don't know him. And yet he's making some pretty big claims about me for somebody who doesn't watch my show and doesn't know me and has no experience with me.
I mean, just take a look at what this kid is doing. You see his talent, the way he presents his ideas, the way he presents his things. There is this, it's like an orchestra. There are highs and there are lows. He took the tempo up, getting you riled up, and now he's bringing it down. If you've ever seen Hitler's speeches, there's that kind of cadence where he starts slow and starts building momentum, and then ends with with a bang, with a crescendo. That's the kind of talent this kid has. That's the kind of talent he has. But see what he's saying now. After all that, he's essentially saying, Tucker Carlson, come and talk to me, come and talk with me, invite me to your show. Which makes me think now, this is just performance, right? It's a show to these guys, even to Nick Fuentes. I don't think this guy really believes some of these things he says. It's a show. It's Jerry Springer. It's hyperbole. It's consumerism. It's trying to be in the news circle, trying to be relevant. It's trying to create content. That's what it is. And by the time they're done with that interview, with that interaction, nothing changes. They're still going to hate each other. They're still going to have ill feelings towards one another. None of those things is going to change. But yeah, let's have the conversation. Let's talk. So, is it really, really worth it? Anyway, I think that their assessment of one another is correct, is spot on. Whatever Tucker Carlson said about Nick Fuentes, him being weird, him being in his mother's basement, possibly, him being gay, I think those things are pretty accurate. And I also think that Nick Fuentes' assessment of Tucker Carlson has been inauthentic is correct, has been elitist is correct, as possibly being a CIA agent is also correct. So they basically just exposed one another. They just truthfully told on themselves. They told on each other. They are tearing each other apart because this is what right-wingers do. They do not have the ability to build anything. They only have the ability to tear things down. That's the only talent that they have. So they're going to claw at one another. They're going to fight one another. They're going to, scream at each other. I mean, look at Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. They were brought together by almost an hatred for black people, want to put it that way. See how they both attacked George Floyd. A man obviously is not a saint, right? But the way he was killed, it wasn't right that he was killed in that manner. But Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, they made a living off that. They made a living off just insulting the memory of a dead man, right? Insulting the process, insulting and saying, oh, Derek Chauvin was, he did the right thing. He was not guilty. He was convicted wrongly. That's what brought them together. And then obviously it's going to get to a point when they'll get to loggerheads where they start disagreeing on certain things. Candace Owens transferred that hate to Israel or to Jewish people, to Israel more specifically. And Ben Shapiro would not have that, and he had her fired. And now Candace Owens is attacking the French president and his wife, saying Brigitte Macron is a man. Okay, so what? How is it any of your business, Candace? How is it any of your business? Whether Brigitte Macron is a man playing to be a woman, it's none of your business. But and this is someone who is always talking about America first, America first, America first. Macron isn't American, so why are you so up in his business, right? So that's it about these people. They never spread anything positive. They never spread anything good. They're always looking for hyperbolic stuff. They're always looking to attack something or attack someone. And by the end of the day, they find that they are attacking each other. They find that they're attacking themselves and they're exposing one another, right? But this whole thing with Donald Trump and the Epstein files, which I don't think is going away, although MAGA, it seems as if the MAGA ire or the MAGA outrage on this is dying down, right? Because they're cultists, essentially, they're going to believe everything that Trump says. They're going to fall in line. So all their uproar about to release the files and so on and so forth, it's just performative. When the court leader essentially tells them to do this, they're going to do it. So when the court leader tells them to believe something, they are going to believe it. So for them to now be silent about essentially accepting the fact that the Epstein files is not going to be released after Trump had campaigned on it, Trump had said, "Oh, we're going to release the Epstein files because he's going to." And the reason they wanted to release it was because they thought it was going to indict many Democrats, forgetting that Epstein, quote unquote, killed himself under Trump. So who's fooling who? Who is playing who? Anyway, that's the show for today. That's what I have for today. I don't know if anyone would like to come on and talk, have a conversation. Maybe I can put the link in the chat if anyone wants to talk. Give me your thoughts on this issue, on this quote unquote feud between Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is right in their assessment here? Do you think Nick is right? Do you think he's right that Tucker Carlson is CIA agent? Do you think Tucker Carlson is right that Nick Fuentes is a gay, weird little gay kid? Of course, he's a weird kid. He has admitted as much, but the other allegations, are they correct? Are they true? Is there something substantive about them, or is this just a show, just trying to generate content, trying to generate outrage, trying to always be in the news? Isn't it exhausting? I mean, this constant, to me, it feels exhausting, but it seems like Americans enjoy this sort of thing, where there's always something, the news cycle is always, it's so fast. Nothing stays. You have something coming, and the next moment is gone. Some other thing is replacing it, and so on and so forth. So, tell me what you think. Well, it seems no one is jumping on or coming in. So, thank you, Bob. Thank you, Dick and Dave. I'd really love Dick and Dave to come in, and every other person that's here. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I will catch you guys in another live stream. It's bye for now.